Good afternoon. I am Gillie Priest, and this is Gillie Priest Revolutionary Radio. And I'm going to take this opportunity to highlight a particular circumstances that has recently developed. But before I do that, I'd like to set a foundation. Part of my growing up, especially when I was in prison, I've always noticed that there is certain mystical type of protection that was always bequeathed to me by some type of power and force beyond my limited understanding. And I always chalk it up to what the Rastafari messenger Bob Marley always said: there's always a natural mystic blowing in the air. And for me, it is that whenever I was ever faced with certain circumstances, especially some form of threatening circumstances, some form of power and force has always come to my rescue. A power and force where I acknowledge it, I understand that it is a development from a common understanding of the frequency and vibration which one carries and which one is impacted by from without. That vibration that coordinates from within and without. Now, in one of my most recent video documentation, I made reference to the fact of this book. And I stated that there is a coming time when I'm going to delve into this book, especially for those who may not be able to afford to buy a copy. And I was going to deal with that sometime in the future. And I'm still going to deal with it sometime in the future. But I'm going to take this opportunity to point out a specific aspect of this book and to show you an affirmation of what I said earlier. Oh, there is always some type of vibrational frequency between myself and the outer world that always come to my defense. So I'm just going to go straight into it. But I'm only going to deal with this particular circumstances that compels me to deal with a particular part of this book tonight. Now, there's a section in here under chapter 8. This was when I first went upstate into the prison system, and a particular encounter took place. And I'm going to read from the bottom of page 27. And what is basically stated is this. One day, while I was in the yard, Jeffrey, who had just been released from the box, told me that while he was in the box, he heard the voice of a Jamaican in protective custody. Now, protective custody within the prison system, for those who don't know, are people who are unable to withstand the pressure of living within the general population. So they usually inform the prison administration that they need some type of protection, which lead to their segregation from the prison population and placed in a unit where they are closely supervised for their own protection. Okay. When he inquired, this is Jeffrey, as to who the guy was, he identified himself as Dave and said that he went to protective custody after having a fight with some Puerto Rican in the yard, and that I was there and didn't help him. I told Jeffrey that I didn't know anybody named Dave and that I didn't witness any fight involving a Jamaican. Jeffrey replied that the guy gave an accurate description of me and that the guy mentioned information that only people close to me would know. After I thought about it, small youth, aka Carl Francis, came to mind. An individual who testified against me in the trial of one of the people I was accused of killing. Jeffrey informed me that the following day when he returned to the block, he shouted, "Small youth!" And immediately the guy who was calling himself Dave responded. Jeffrey said that when he asked him why he said his name was Dave, that he gave a stupid answer. At that point, I assumed that he was in protective custody because of me, so I sent a message letting him know that I had no intention of harming him or having someone else harm him, and that he should come to population. Now, this is the guy who had testified against me in a murder trial and convicted me and gave me 25 years to life. The first day when he came out and saw me, we greeted each other, because after I told him that I was not going to be a threat to him, he informed the prison administration. They let him out of population, and I was able to speak with him. Now, this is at the bottom of page 28. The first day when he came out and saw me, we greeted each other and began chatting awkwardly. By this time, I already had an idea of the person he was, so I decided to not mention my case, because he knew what he did. And if I asked him to make the rights is wrong, he would probably contact the prosecutor's office and tell them that I was trying to force him to recant his statement. By this time, everyone in the prison knew that he was an informant, and the Jamaican population wanted to hurt him, but I knew that if something happened to him, I would be blamed. So I warned and pleaded with everyone to leave him alone. It became my full-time job making sure that I went to the yard daily in case someone decided to do something to him, especially since I gave him my word that I was not going to hurt him. There was a big part of me that wanted to do something bad to small youth because of what he did to me. But deep down, I knew that it would neither fix the situation nor make me feel better. So I just accepted the situation from what it was and hope for the best. One day, out of the blue, he approached me in the yard and said that he had been in prison for about 3 months, and he noticed that I hadn't mentioned the case, and that my silence was causing him to worry and suffer anxiety, and that if we didn't speak about the case, he would return to protective custody. Even though I wanted to ask him why he lied on me, I didn't trust him, because he already demonstrated that he was very dangerous. I responded by telling him that there was nothing to speak about, that he knew what he had done, and that he felt bad and wanted to do something about it, that he knew what to do. He convinced me that it was safe to ask him whatever I wanted to ask him, so I took the opportunity to ask him how he was able to describe the crime scene, and was surprised when he told me that the police drove him to the scene and reconstructed the crime and detail for him. I really don't know how or what I expected to feel upon finally hearing what he had to say. But to say I was depressed would be an understatement. After a few days, when I went to the yard, he handed me a sworn signed affidavit in which he laid out the testimony was fabricated, that he wanted the court to give him the opportunity to recant his testimony, which was the proverbial head of the snake in my conviction. I was overcome with joy and hope, because I believed that the truth would finally set me free. I attached the affidavit to a post-conviction motion and sent it to the court, and within 2 months I received notification that I was scheduled for a hearing. 2 days before the hearing was taking place, we were packed up and sent to Rikers Island. Okay. So basically, this individual came into prison, same one that testified against me, small youth, but began using the name Dave in order to hide from me within the prison population. So when I finally discovered who was this Dave, I informed him that I would not have anyone hurt him, I personally would not hurt him, and that he can come to population. All right. I'm going to make a segue from that. So eventually he gave me an affidavit statement, which was basically informing the court that he lied on me at the trial and that he would like to be given the opportunity to recant his statement. That's his entire part of chapter 8. Most of chapter 8 of my book is taken up by this person calling himself Dave, but whose real name is called Anthony Francis. And as stipulated in the book, he was hiding in the prison system under that name. He was discovered, and then from his own motivation, he gave me a signed sworn affidavit which was sent to the court. And that signed sworn affidavit is attached to the back of this book. That's his signature. That's the notary public that signed it as a witness, showing that he was not coerced in signing it. And that's his entire statement to the court pertaining to his false trial testimony against me. Now I'm going to read it. I, Carl Francis, on the 9th of September 1982, sworn and say that the following statement was made by me with willingness and free will, without coercion from anyone in any form, or without any promise from anyone in any form. During the trial of Michael Aaron for murder, I testified for the prosecution against the said defendant as an eyewitness. I testified against him as a false witness, and because of my conscience, which is causing physical and mental stress, I would like to withdraw my false statement so that justice can be served in its proper form in behalf of the defendant. Prior to my testimony before the district attorney and the court, I was forced by one Bucky Marshall and Gillie at gunpoint, this is another individual who I got mixed up with as Gillie, to testify against Michael Aaron, or else my family and myself would be killed. To protect my family as well as myself, I did as they ordered and testified against Michael Aaron as a false witness. I was instructed as to what to say by Bucky Marshall and Gillie, and was given information concerning the setting of the murder site by the district attorney. I testified at the trial that on the night of the crime, I saw the defendant, Michael Aaron, and spoke to him while standing at the bar in the building where a party was in session. Subsequently, I saw the defendant, Michael Aaron, about 20 yards away with a gun shooting someone. The truth of the matter is that I was not present at the party and therefore knew nothing about it. The testimony which was given by me under oath was a lie against the defendant. My request to this court is for me to be able to withdraw my false testimony against the defendant, Michael Aaron, as soon as possible, in the interest of justice, by testifying before this court as soon thereafter as the motion is heard. Respectfully submitted, signed, Carl Francis, sworn to on the 9th of September 1982, and the notary public is James W. It's like chair or something. I can't really make up the name of the notary public, which is equivalent to the justice of the peace in Jamaica. Again, here is the individual signed sworn statement testifying that he testified against me at trial. And I read in the part where when he came into the prison, beginning under chapter 8, starting off page 27, where he came into the prison and was hiding under the name Dave. Now you're gonna see where I'm going with this. This is the individual who hid his identity as Dave when he was identified as the person, small youth, Carl Anthony Francis, who testified against me. Under no coercion on my part or anyone's part, he gave a written sworn statement that was sent to the judge and the New York State Supreme Court, stating that he lied on me at the trial and therefore he would like the opportunity to take it back. Some months after he gave this statement to me and it was sent to the court called us down. He testified as stated in this statement, but the court denied the motion. Okay. This is roughly 42 years ago this took place. 42 years ago. 43, 44 years when he testified. 42 years when he gave me this statement. Okay. Today, after posting a video on the Gillie Priest Revolutionary Radio, I was reviewing some of the comments that was made pertaining to my very most recent video, which is titled Gillie Priest Revolutionary Radio. And the subtopic is the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary. So while scrolling through the comment section, I want to read a particular comment that was made under a particular name. This is the comment. And under there, I guess the email address or the calling number for those who made comment. I don't know the proper reference for it. It says David Dave. And it goes on to say, I'm going to read it in its entirety. It says, yo bro, why you lying? You did a lot of shit that you haven't atoned for. You are a snitch, a rat. You told on your homies when you get busted. Talk about that shit, Gillie. Some of us are still here. Son, keep it real. We know the real you. That book is filled with lies. You concocted a story and reinvented yourself. But it's all built on lies. You could have reinvented yourself without the lies. And that's why we are calling you out. Now, keep in reference, I guess you could say his call address or his email address or whatever the address that comes up when someone made a comment is David Dave-Z9S, whatever that's supposed to mean. But I received a call from my brethren, Badass, and he said, Gil, I noticed someone make a negative comment. Do you know someone by the name of Dave? I said, no, I don't know anyone by the name of Dave. I don't know why someone would make up something like that. But during the conversation, while speaking to Badass, my mind clicked and went back to the incident 42 years ago, where I made reference to the fact that small youth who testified against me and came in the prison system was hiding out under the name Dave. So it clicked. And the blessings of the situation is that I wrote about that particular part, how this individual was hiding under the name Dave. Here we are 43 years later, and this person is hiding under the same name Dave, not knowing that I retain that story, that he used that name Dave, hiding out in the prison system for 43 years, right here in the book, and also attached. So what happened is, somehow he either read the book, because if you notice what he says in there, he said, yo bro, you're lying, you did a lot of shit, I'm the tongue for, you're a snitch, you're a rat, you told on your homies when you get busted. Talk about that, Gillie. Some of us are still here, keep it real, we know the real you. That book is filled with lies. So keep it now, the person who writes this email has a gripe with the book. And the person who has a gripe with the book is under the name, under the comment section as Dave. And this was the same person called Francis who was hiding out in the system, who testified against me as the name. So it is incontrovertible that this same Dave called Anthony Francis is the same Dave who is writing this false allegation. You see how the vibes work? Or something that I believe was just in passing, in telling how this individual was hiding out under the name Dave. I could have totally neglected that little minute section and just went to the fact that Carl Anthony Francis had testified against me, falsely against my case. Natural mystic blowing in the air. wrote about that Dave in the book, where this individual was hiding out under the name Dave. 43 years later, this culprit is making a comment upon my broadcast and hiding out under the name Dave, believing that I had forgotten it. Yes, on a personal level I had forgotten it, but there was reference to the book of this individual. So here now, this individual, someone brought this book to his attention and confronted him with the fact that he's a government agent who fabricated evidence. So what is his rebuttal? His rebuttal is to make this false allegation here, post it in the comment section of the video, hoping that I would not have recognized who he is in fabricating these allegations against me. So I want to know for sure how much, even with all my circumstances that I've been through for 40 odd years, I am protected, man. I'm protected by the vibration and the frequencies of this earth, man. I am protected, man. So in making a rebuttal, it didn't even deserve a rebuttal, to be honest with you. But silence sometimes can be mistaken. So by this person writing this and hiding underneath the acronym Dave, you saw how it works? This book published before this statement, and I spoke about this individual this culprit who hides under the name Dave Carl Anthony Francis, the fabricator of false evidence against me in my trial. And here 43 years later, he's trying to, but he failed to recognize the differences of both himself and I and the present world we're living in. That's the miscalculation he made when he decided to see a face. Not with me, you cannot see a face with me because I'm the one who you tell. To see a face amongst your friends and those who confronted you with the evidence in this book. You're calling yourself doing a get back by fabricating these things that's really you're identifying yourself. This is what you call deflection. And he made so much miscalculation in this by referencing the book and saying the book is a fabrication. It tells you that he is the same Dave that was referred to and identified in this book as a system informant 43 years ago who falsely testified against me and contributed 25 years towards my 45-year sentence. So that's the overall thing I wanted to point out. It shows you how much there are certain vibrational movements within creation. Sometimes it is beyond overstanding. Because this individual hid under the name Dave 23 years ago, but forgotten that was at my knowledge and disposal. And this book was written before this allegation, which was just made today. So it's no coincidence that he hid under the name Dave then, and had he recollected that I knew that, and had he recollected that it was in the book, he would not have hidden underneath that name in this text. You saw his affidavit with his signature addressed to the judge. You see, but that's the thing with malignancy and delinquency in this world. Some people have no change to change. Some people are so vicious and wicked against all manner of progressiveness. They will do anything believing that they can hide from their own transgression. And we know what his objective is. He said, I am going to sabotage Gillie Priest's program because he has exposed me in his book. This is the only reason why someone could come and say that book is a whole total fabrication. But you ever notice? He did not point out the specific part that is applicable to him because he did not want me to identify him. So he just make a general condemnation of the book, not knowing that the same name Dave would have given him away. Small brain, man, small brain. What the scripture said? No weapon that rise against I shall prosper, man. Go sit down. Go sit down. Live with your conscience. Live with the person who you look at in the mirror every day, small youth. Carl Anthony Francis, a.k.a. Dave. You think I was going to hide from this? You think I was going to read this and say, oh, I hope nobody see it? Lift up. Lift up. You don't know who you is, and you have been exposed. And you not only exposed 43 years ago, but you have self-exposed yourself again today. Hold your corner and go inside. You're a crab. You have no comeback to come back. And you know what I wish for a person like you? I wish you live a long life. I wish you cry for death and shall never find death. I would wish for you to live forever if there was any logic to that statement. Yeah, man, live with that with your conscience, man. You shall run and run and run, but guess what? You can't hide, Rudyot. You can't hide. You cannot fabricate anything that shall provide you with cover. You shall run behind the rock, and the rock shall move and say, the rock is also in search of cover. So show your shallow countenance. Where you believe the call name and this thing Dave would have hidden you, where you could have made a general fabricated condemnation of myself. And you believe you would have been protected from your dastardly act. But you saw Jagwait, me write about your hide under the name Dave, and point out how you testify against me, and point out how when your conscience did supposedly start bother you contact the court and tell the court you want to recant. You want to take back your false allegation, and you take back your false allegation, and because I expose you for who you are, you come 43 years later and try to lambast my name. You think you can lambast my name, culprit? You know where my standing is within my community. I don't know. You see? Somebody might be tell me from where you dig a hole, dig door. And guess what? Me have more shot for fire by you, know. Me just want you to raise up your ugly head and you see the next shot will come in. Because me have your picture. Me have your picture, you know. Me can dig it out right now. Me can make the same and put up your picture, make everybody see you. So how could I do that with you and then me turn up and have your picture? Open your mouth again. I dare you. And you see your picture go up the next time. So there is no misunderstanding how you make this statement and me even have your picture. You, your mother, and your sister. Yeah, man, you forget. Culprit. So, I do that little broadcast tonight. Just to add some clarity. Because I'm not going to hide from it. Most people are not going to see your statement. But I'm going to show you, so you can't put me in a wall. You're a clown. You cannot put me in a wall. And the book is a testament to the fabricated name Dave, where you try to believe in that I wouldn't know it's you. Lift up. Lift up from about you. Go back in your hole where you're there for 43 years. You are irrelevant. You are irrelevant. You are a clown. And this is waste of time. This is a distraction for me even to address this. But knowing that silent can be a form of, I'm not going to be silent. So the book is the testament against you. Or you hide under the knee. And that will make people read the book more now. When you believe you was going to sabotage the seal of the book and sabotage the Gillie Priest Revolutionary Radio, you enhance it. Because the curiosity alone will bring out more sales from this book. You're a little dull weapon can't farm no violence against me. You're a clown. You don't know you're a clown because I don't point out in the book how you're a coward. And this is a further substantiated This little clown statement where you try to mud up my name is more a deeper substantiation of how you're weak. So people, the book is here. And unintendedly, he's helping me promote the book. Read about this character in my book. See the evidence signed and sworn to by this individual who is hiding under the name Dave, believing that he could have created some type of sabotage effect against me. Show you how shallow some people brain is. So you only expose yourself, my youth. Because sit down before you lift up. And that them talk about them. Or do that match there. Because you feel a match there. So, brethren and sisters, that is just to do. Like I say, it's a distraction. It's a waste of time. People on them level, they can't sabotage now. But it's just to acknowledge. My main objective in pointing out this another reason is just to point out how positive vibration and frequency from within and without can give mystical protection upon the level. Because things just coordinate to it for coordinate. Where this individual can be exposed even by his own word. Yeah, man, so that's about when you deal with intelligent people. And you have intelligent subscribers. And you have intelligent readers. And you have intelligent listeners. So just by reading the book and putting this person's comment that he commented on the program submitted today, dealing with the Rastafari seminary, it shows the evilness of man. But it's a good example this of evilness, where a person, because he wants to hide from his conscience, would sabotage a movement that is in development to liberate African people. The liberation of over 2 billion people is of no consequence to this individual who is trying to hide from his own conscience. It shows the depth that a human being has the ability to go to the bottom of the barrel and under the barrel, my youth. So this is a perfect good example. This is a teaching and learning moment for those of us who need it. So therefore, I will not even have to come on this broadcast and just read this and come out and say he's lying, he's this. No, it's in the book from highlighting 43 years ago and giving the evidence signed and sworn to by this same individual. He not knowing that I would have them, especially the fact knowing that he's there. Because even though I text back this individual and say, identify yourself, he believed that the name Dave was going to give him cover. That name Dave was exposed 43 years ago and published in my book. So I know who you is. You're a deceiver and a liar and a thief. The perfect example to what my grandmother taught me from a child, where she says, always choose a thief over a liar. A thief will steal your property, but a liar will take your life. You have a damnation to this earth, my youth. And the wickedness is not even the fact that you testified falsely against me and they turn around and try to accuse me of what you did. The dastardeliness of your action is to use it with the intent of sabotaging a movement to liberate people just so you can hide from your own conscience. Lift up. Brethren and sisters, one God, one aim, one destiny, peace, love and unity. That dealt with, that gone. That has another second to be wasted on it. Bless up.